In the world of mechanical engineering, there is a golden rule. Never take a prototype straight to production. Every first draft has a breaking point. You have to stress test it, find the failure cascade, and let it break in the lab so it doesn't break in the real world. I've spent my entire life designing complex systems with fail-safes, but the one system I forgot to stress test was my own marriage. My name is Caleb. I'm 35 years old, and I'm an aerospace and thermodynamics engineer. I work a standard day job, but my real passion is in my garage. For 3 years, I spent every evening and weekend building a revolutionary micro-cooling turbine. It was designed to keep the batteries of heavy-duty commercial and military drones from overheating, effectively tripling their flight time. It was the holy grail of drone tech. My wife, Chloe, worked in the same industry, but on the other side of the glass. She was a director of sales for a massive aerospace and defense contractor. She was charismatic, cutthroat, and always dressed in power suits. We were the classic brains and beauty dynamic. I built the tech, she sold it. I trusted her implicitly. I would excitedly show her my CAD models and 3D printed prototypes over dinner. She always seemed supportive, telling me it was going to change our lives. It definitely changed our lives, just not in the way I expected.
The red flags didn't start at home, they started at her office. Chloe's defense firm hired a new VP of product development named Derek. Derek was 40, drove a brand new Porsche 911, and had the arrogant swagger of a guy who takes credit for other people's work. Suddenly, Chloe's entire schedule revolved around Derek. They had late-night strategy sessions. They went on emergency networking trips to Washington, D.C. Then the behavior shifted towards me. First, the sudden intense interest in my garage project. For years, Chloe barely glanced at my workbench. Now, she was constantly asking highly technical questions. Caleb, how close is the cooling turbine to being finished? Have you written the final firmware yet? Where do you keep the backup files? Second, the gaslighting. Whenever I tried to be affectionate or plan a date night, she would snap at me. She told me I was suffocating her and that I needed to focus on finishing my invention instead of bothering her. She made me feel like I was a distraction to her career. Third, the flash drive. I always keep my master CAD files on an encrypted military-grade USB drive locked in my desk. One Saturday morning, I found it sitting on the kitchen counter. When I asked her about it, she casually claimed she accidentally grabbed it, thinking it was hers. My stomach dropped. In engineering, there are no coincidences. They're only anomalies, and I needed to investigate this one.
I didn't confront her. Instead, I went into my home network's router logs and pulled the traffic history for her laptop. I found a massive data transfer to an external private cloud server. I used a bit of network magic to bypass the basic security on the server. She used our wedding anniversary as the password. Classic mistake. When I opened the folder, I didn't just find evidence of an affair. I found a multi-million-dollar corporate espionage plot. There were dozens of photos of Chloe and Derek together in expensive hotel rooms, but nested inside a folder labeled Project Icarus were my exact CAD files, my blueprints, my code. They had taken my invention, scrubbed my name off it, and presented it to the board of their defense contracting firm as Derek's proprietary design. I found a chat thread between the two of them. Derek wrote, "The generals at the DoD loved the schematics. If the live demonstration next month is successful, they are signing a $50 million procurement contract. My bonus is going to be $5 million. We'll be set for life, baby." Chloe replied, "I can't wait. Make sure the prototype is built exactly to the specs I pulled from Caleb's drive. The day that bonus clears, I'm serving him with divorce papers. He's just a garage tinkerer anyway. He has no money to sue us. We'll be in the Maldives before he even figures it out. I sat in my dark garage, staring at my tools. My wife wasn't just cheating on me. She was going to steal my life's work, claim it with her lover, make millions off the military, and leave me destitute.
If you want to destroy an engineer, you have to be smarter than him. Chloe and Derek were corporate sharks, but they were terrible engineers. They stole the files from the USB drive, but what Chloe didn't know is that the USB drive only contained version 2.0 of my cooling turbine. Version 2.0 was a flawed prototype. During my stress tests, I discovered a catastrophic thermal feedback loop. If the turbine ran at 100% capacity for more than 15 minutes, the ceramic bearings would fuse, the cooling liquid would vaporize, and the entire unit would violently combust. I had already fixed the problem in version 3.0, which was stored on an entirely different, air-gapped hard drive. They had stolen a ticking time bomb, and they were going to strap it to a multi-million-dollar military drone and fly it in front of the Department of Defense. I didn't say a word. I smiled at Chloe at dinner. I asked her how work was going. I played the clueless, submissive husband perfectly. I let them build their own execution chamber.
While they were busy building the flawed prototype, I went to work on the legal side. Because I had been working on this for years, I had a massive paper trail. I hired a ruthless intellectual property attorney. I handed him my time-stamped code, my physical prototypes, and my early design journals. Most importantly, I showed him my fully granted provisional patent, which I had quietly filed and secured in my own name 6 months ago. Caleb, my lawyer said, looking at the hacked emails, what they are doing isn't just IP theft, they are actively defrauding the United States military by presenting stolen, patented tech as their own. That's a federal crime. I know, I replied, but we don't send the cease and desist letter yet. We wait for the demonstration. I also used an anonymous proxy to contact the prime contractor for the Department of Defense who was evaluating Project Icarus, and I sent them a heavily encrypted file containing the absolute proof of the thermal flaw in version 2.0, along with the password that would only unlock at a specific time. The stage was set. The live demonstration was held at a secure military testing facility in the Nevada desert. I wasn't there, but I didn't need to be. The prime contractor had invited a massive crowd of generals, defense executives, and investors. Chloe and Derek were standing in the VIP tent, looking incredibly smug, ready to secure their $5 million payout. The engineers launched the massive test drone. It flew perfectly for the first 10 minutes. But I knew the math. At exactly the 14-minute mark, the drone was pushed to maximum velocity to test the cooling turbine. Inside the turbine, the stolen version 2.0 code executed, the ceramic bearings fused, the coolant vaporized. At minute 15, right over the observation deck, the drone didn't just fail, it spectacularly detonated. A massive ball of fire and shrapnel rained down on the desert floor. Millions of dollars of military hardware instantly vaporized. The VIP tent descended into pure chaos. At that exact second, the password I sent to the military contractor unlocked. The encrypted file opened, displaying my warning about the catastrophic flaw, my original patent proving I was the inventor, and the emails proving Derek and Chloe had stolen it. Before the smoke even cleared from the crash site, military police marched into the VIP tent. They escorted a terrified Chloe and a completely panicked Derek out in handcuffs, right in front of the generals and the board of directors. As they were being loaded into the military vehicles, a process server, hired by my lawyer, walked up to Chloe and handed her a thick manila envelope. "Divorce papers and a federal intellectual property lawsuit," the server said. The fallout was an absolute bloodbath. Chloe's defense contracting firm was investigated by the Department of Defense for fraud and espionage. The CEO, desperate to save the company, immediately fired both Chloe and Derek and fully cooperated with the federal authorities. Derek's career was completely obliterated. He was facing federal charges for defrauding the government in grand larceny. Because the drone explosion destroyed military property, he was looking at serious federal prison time. Chloe's life went up in smoke, just like the drone. Because she had actively conspired to steal my intellectual property and defraud the government, she was charged as a co-conspirator. During our divorce, she tried to beg for mercy. She sat across from me in the mediation room, crying hysterically, saying she was manipulated by Derek. I slid the transcript of her text message across the table. "He's just a garage tinkerer anyway. We'll be in the Maldives before he figures it out." "I figured it out, Chloe," I said calmly. "Enjoy your flight." Because she was a convicted felon who had committed fraud against me, the judge awarded me 100% of our marital assets, the house, and stripped her of any claim to my future earnings.
It's been almost 3 years since that explosion in the desert. A month after the dust settled, the military contractor reached out to me directly. I sold them the working, flawless version 3.0 of my cooling turbine. The contract didn't pay $5 million. Because I bypassed the middlemen, it paid $12 million. I quit my day job, I bought a massive piece of land and built a state-of-the-art engineering lab. I run my own company now, and I only hire people I trust implicitly. Last I heard, Chloe avoided prison by testifying against Derek, but she is a convicted felon. She is permanently blacklisted from the corporate world and works in a call center, barely making minimum wage. Derek is serving 6 years in a federal penitentiary. If there is a lesson to be learned here, it's this: never steal a machine if you don't know how it works. If your partner thinks they are smarter than you and they try to use your hard work to elevate themselves, don't stand in their way. Just step back, let them hit the ignition switch, and watch them build their own spectacular crash. Thanks for listening to my story. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what is the most expensive mistake you've ever seen someone make? Stay sharp and always stress test your relationships.